myself. Oh,
Sorry about that.
it's okay. You want to do that first?
It's all, yeah, we got it now.
Yeah. Okay. We have myself, we have Karen Barnett and Tim Condorino as members. We'll seat Doris Crum. And our newest member to welcome onto the board is Mike Elbaum. He's there. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
So you're gonna get thrown right in first night. Hope you read your packet, and we'll see how it goes. So
Yeah.
All right, Mark, you want to take over?
Sure. This is a web-based call, so we are operating under the following procedures. This session is being audio and video recorded. We will not use the chat feature in this meeting. And to ensure sound quality, the default rule for this meeting is that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute, except when speaking or voting. This meeting is open to the public, but is not a public hearing. Therefore, no members of the public may speak unless specifically invited to do so. If a member of the public creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of the staff or the chair. We appreciate your attendance at this meeting. Should you have any questions about this process, you may call our staff at 860-444-5813 after the meeting has ended. And with that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Okay, great. So we already had the call and appointed the alternates. Anybody have a motion to approve the March 25th, 2025 meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Okay, motion made by Tim Condorino.
I'll second Karen.
Thanks, Karen, because you're the only one that was at the meeting other than Tim. So motion made and seconded to approve the March 25th, 2025 meeting minutes. All in favor? Aye. Oh,
Aye.
Aye.
any opposed? No opposed. Okay. Item number 3, application receipt, PL 25-5, request of Gregory and Mary Lou Gennady. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Okay, great, thank you. Owner and applicant for a site plan review and approval for a new single-family home on property located at 30 South Bartlett Road, R40 zone in accordance with section 3.4 of the zoning regulations and as shown on plans entitled Septic System Design Plan prepared for Gregory J. Gennady and Mary Lou Gennady, number 30 South Bartlett Road, Waterford, Connecticut. Application was received on 3/25/25, action required by 5/29/25. Also, we have PL 25-6, a request of Robert Shack to applicant to amend the zoning regulation sections 3.41, 3.41.2F, and 3.41.2N as they pertain to agritourism. Public hearing required by 6/12/25. Item number 4. We'll talk about the public hearing date later
For
for the agritourism.
the agritourism weekend, we can talk about it now if you'd like. We can set the public hearing date for May 13th, for the May 13th meeting.
Sure. Everybody okay with that? We probably won't have another meeting in May, so May 13th public hearing. Okay, great. Item number 4, PL 25-4, request of James Garish, applicant, and Peter Van Arnhem, owner for a coastal site plan review and approval for a new single-family home on property located at 163 Oswegatchie Road, R40 zone, in accordance with sections 5.1.1 and 25.4 of the zoning regulations, and as shown on plans entitled Zoning Location Survey, prepared for James G. Garish for property located at 163 Oswegatchie Road, Town of Waterford, County of New London, Connecticut. Action required by 5/8/25. Do we have, who's here for this application?
That would be me, Jim Bernardo.
Okay, and who's here for the next application of Gennady?
Well, that's me. I'm Greg Gennady,
Okay,
and I have also Rick Deschamps and Brandon Morse, my builder and surveyor here with me to answer any questions they might need to answer.
okay. I don't see the builder on. Is he the one
He's
with
with
you?
me. He's
Oh,
with
okay.
me. Yep.
All right, great. And Jim, are you all set? You have everybody you need?
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay, great.
It's
All right,
just
so then
me.
let's do yours, PL 25-4.
Okay. My name is Jim. Are you ready for me, Greg? Are you ready for
Yeah,
me to
all
go?
set.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
all set.
So yeah, my name is Jim Bernardo. I'm a land surveyor here in Waterford, and I'm representing James Garish out of Massachusetts, who was interested in purchasing the property at 163 Oswegatchie Road and building a new single-family house on that property. It's a existing lot of record. It's in the R40 zone, which requires 40,000 square feet minimum lot area. As I said, the lot is a lot of record. It's actually 22,500 square feet, which is 0.52 acres. So it would be a pre-existing non-conforming lot relative to lot area. It's adjacent to Keeney Cove, which is in an estuarine embayment to the Nyack River and subsequently to Long Island Sound. Typically under your zoning regulations, 25.4.2A5, construction of an individual single-family home would be exempt from CAM requirements. However, the structure is within 100 feet of the coastal resources, which is the estuarine embayment, and therefore a coastal site plan review is required by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Portion of the property is located within the FEMA Special Flood Hazard Area, AE elevation 12. All the activities that we are proposing are located outside the special flood hazard area, including the new house. Mr. Garish wishes to construct a new house on the property. It's about an 800 square foot footprint. It'll be 2 stories, 3 bedrooms with an attached deck. The lot is served by existing municipal water and sewer. The proposed location meets all the applicable yard setbacks for the R40 zone as required by zoning regulations 5.4 for your yard setbacks front side and rear. There is an existing town of Waterford drainage easement up in the northeast corner. Can I share my screen, or are you all looking at the site plan? I don't know if
I can grant you
Can you-
permission.
Yeah, we can share it.
let's try to see if I can share it. Host disabled. I'm gonna try again.
Oh, wrong one, sorry. Jim Bernardo. Yes. All right, Jim, you should have the ability to share.
Okay, here's the site plan here. I've never done this before, so yeah, okay. Hope everybody can see that.
Yes.
All right, so let's move some stuff around so we can see it. There's an existing town of Waterford drainage easement up here. Again, the house is being proposed over here in the southwesterly corner. There's an existing town of Waterford drainage easement up here in the northerly corner. That will not be impacted by any of the site development. The application was referred to the Connecticut DEP. They had a couple concerns. In particular, there's a granite block retaining wall that runs right here along Keeney Cove. According to their records, apparently that was not permitted. So one of their comments was that the owner is going to have to work with the Land and Water Resource Division of the Connecticut DEP to get a permit for that. I grew up in this neighborhood. That thing's been there for at least 60 years. So it's just a matter of getting what they call a COP, certificate of permission to maintain the wall that's there. We've incorporated some actually, so now that I'm sharing my screen here's the flood zone line here. This is the AE 12 line here. Okay. This area between these 2 lines is what we used to call the 500-year flood. Now it's called the 0.2% annual chance. And as you can see, just the deck is within that. And then from here up is these X, or what we call the X unshaded, which is outside the base flood elevation. So you can see the house is constructed completely outside the base flood elevation. We've incorporated some stormwater BMPs in the design into the coastal site plan, including the installation of silt fence. which we have shown here. One of the comments from the staff review was they had a suggestion that we back that up with some hay bales. And I think that's a reasonable request. I did discuss it with the buyer this morning, and I explained to him if this area is exposed and we get a heavy rainstorm, we don't want anything to breach this silt fence and end up in the cove. So he was fine with us backing this silt fence line up here with some staked hay bales as well. The DEP also commented regarding some low impact developments for the roof runoff. I spoke with him this morning about that. He's traveling. He's actually traveling out of the country, so he was unable to log in and be with us. But the DEP had suggested we do some rain gardens for the roof gutters. I also discussed with him, and it's something he's considering. He's going to discuss with his wife. They may consider doing some rain barrels to do some rainwater harvesting to water their plants with. But we can work with staff on that, whether it be with the rain gardens or rain barrels for a suitable location for the rainwater from the gutters. I also reviewed with him the 5 staff items which they're proposing as conditions of approval, and he's agreeable to all those conditions. And yeah, if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Could you stop sharing the screen just so we can
Sure.
see the rest of the people here?
There we
Great.
go.
Thank you. Let me just get the gallery view here. Okay. You're all done? You don't have anybody else, right, Jim?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything?
Unless any members of the commission want to have any questions right now, I can review the staff report and the conditions of approval.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I do. This is Karen.
Okay.
Looking at the elevation of this property, when you put is it a pad or a basement for this house?
It's a full basement. It'll be a walkout basement on that easterly end of the property. So underneath
Okay.
that deck, there'll be a walkout.
So I'm concerned about like stormwater runoff and the neighboring property with how the water, and especially with how much I'm looking at the elevation. I'm wondering, what elevation are you planning to put the house? And are you planning on doing any like terracing on the water side of the property to accommodate, it looks like the house is at between 16 and is it 22? With the way the land is right now?
Yeah, so the house is sitting on the roughly at the high elevation is 20 and the downslope elevation is approximately 17. So we've set the finished floor at 24, which means the basement floor will be at 15.5. So the basement floor will be just slightly below the existing grade, which is about 17. And that's why we have that 16. You can see a finished grade of 16 contour off the end of the deck, and then silt fence just beyond the limits of clearing and limits of disturbance.
So when you're done with construction and the silt fence presumably goes away, the water running off the house, is it all being pushed into one direction, or does it run into the neighbor's driveway?
Oh
in
no,
any
the
way?
neighbor's
It's gonna
driveway's
all go into the
elevation, like,
cove?
I'm sorry?
It'll all be directed toward the cove. There's not gonna be any land contouring or anything that would change any kind of directional of water flow?
No, no, I mean, the existing flow is basically from left to right or from west to east. And yeah, and like I said, one of the comments from the DEP was to mitigate using some type of low impact development for the roof drainage, which is fairly clean runoff or fairly clean water. And so again, the owner is considering using some rain barrels to harvest that so he can water his flowers, but he's going to discuss that with his wife. And then, if that's not something we do, then he'll work with staff to do some rain gardens to mitigate some of the roof runoff.
And are they anticipating that this house will also get runoff from Oswegatchie Road? I know there's a drain easement on the one edge of the property, but the road itself is gonna be elevation higher than your house, right?
That's correct, but there's curbing on existing Oswegatchie Road. And that runs, that's the reason for that drainage in the street. So it runs from left to right or from west to east to that those catch basins in the road. So all the runoff on the road is contained within the road and into the drainage structures that are there.
Okay, and speaking of the driveway, what are your sight lines for the driveway?
I don't know what the distances are, but I met with Tom McKittrick, from the Public Works Department, because there was a concern about the driveway, and he and I met out there, and he said there's no issues with it. He was fine with it.
Okay, he didn't give you any kind of numbers, or you didn't write them down?
We didn't get a sight line distance at all. I know as you go as you're looking to the right, there's that bend in the road just to the east of where this is. But again, we stood there and he said he didn't have any problem issuing a driveway permit for this location. And we positioned it in such a way because there's a metal guide rail there. And so we wouldn't have to do any, guide rail work. And we moved it as far as we could from the corner in order to provide the longest sight distance to the left or to the west. I mean, you can see probably for a couple thousand feet, almost all the way to the corner where Oswegatchie Road corners. But to the right, we do have the issue with that bend, but he said he wasn't concerned with it. So that's,
Okay.
I did clear that with him because it was a concern by the buyer that he wouldn't be able to get a driveway permit. And I met with like I said, I met with Tom McKittrick out there.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Tim Condarino?
No, I have nothing at this time.
Doris?
None at this time.
Mike?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, Mark, you want to take over?
Sure. What I had provided the commission in their packet was a staff report. With that staff report, there were 5 conditions listed. And as Jim Bernardo alluded to earlier, is that the applicant has reviewed those conditions and has no issues with them. I think what's important to note, though, is that because of the location of the house relative to the building lines, that a foundation location certification be provided to the zoning official prior to framing, so that foundation location can be verified that it meets the required setbacks for the zone district. The other condition is that after construction and they're looking for a CO, an as-built survey will also be required to be submitted to be sure that the house was constructed according to what's shown on the site plan.
Okay, those are all seem reasonable, and the applicant is okay with them, correct, Jim?
Yes, I went through those point by point with him this morning, and he was fine with them. I told him most of those are standard for Town of Waterford, the foundation certification as well as the final as-built. And of course, reading it, he didn't understand it, but once I explained it all to him, he was fine with it.
Okay, and we have any other discussion from the commission? Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, with conditions, site plan CAM application PL 25-4, located at 163 Oswegatchie Road, with conditions 1 through 5, and to find that the project as approved with conditions is consistent with all applicable coastal policies, includes all reasonable measures to mitigate adverse impacts.
Great, and that is the 5 conditions in the staff report dated. I don't have a date on this, do we?
Yeah, I couldn't find a date either. I was looking for it earlier today.
No, that's right. You're right. It's Today's date, actually,
Okay, so,
April 8th.
so Tim, conditions 1 through 5 in the staff report dated 4/8/25, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Doris. Any other discussion on the motion?
Greg, can I ask one more question?
Of course.
So I'm looking at the house plan, and it looks like it was kind of just like printed from somewhere. Is that? I guess I'm just wondering, like, is that house gonna we sure this thing fits in this? I think I've been looking at these like affordable housing things too much. So I just want to make sure that the house that we're seeing in the applicant's thing is the actual like floor plan of the house that's going in there. If that makes sense. Can we just get confirmation that what we're seeing is what we're like I feel like we've had a lot of things come through lately that all of a sudden 2 months later we find out like, oh yeah, no, we changed this. Can we just get confirmation that
No, you are correct. We actually did have to scale the house down by 2 feet. So if you look, the house that's shown there is in the example or on the from his plan, his cottage plan that he wants to buy online. The dimensions did change slightly from that. But he hasn't ordered these plans yet. This was just something, him and his wife looked through a catalog, and this is a house layout that they liked, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the exact plan. And that's one of the reasons why, the town's going to require a full as-built. But I believe the dimensions are pretty close to what this as you can see, there's some dimensions that are missing, obviously, on the purchased plan, I don't even know what you want to call it, the catalog plan. But he knows the parameters that he has to work within. And so it does fit.
okay, I think that's just where my concern comes from. And this is no shade on your applicant, but we've had previous people come in front of us and present these things, and then we find out later that, oh wait, it's not exactly what we showed you. So before we proceed, I just want to make sure that we all know what we're talking about and that the applicant's going to agree to abide by the building zone that we have here, the envelope within the parcel, and that the house will be what we think it's going to be, what's being presented to us today, and that there's something on the record that's going to show that the applicant is in good faith going to build what we think is being presented today and in compliance with our town regulations. So if Mark and Jonathan are saying that you'll check on that later and make sure that this ends up being what we think it is today down the road, and we don't get like, oh yeah, by the way, we changed something. That's just what I want to confirm.
Sure, Karen, that's where condition 4 of the approval comes in, where they're required to submit a foundation location survey, that the surveyor will go out to verify that the foundation is actually in the spot that shows on the plan.
Well,
Okay.
actually, go ahead, Karen. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, as long as we have it in writing that this is gonna be what we think it is.
Yeah.
But if Greg has it, well, actually, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I do, because well, actually, number 4 doesn't say if the survey part, and maybe we should have it at that point, because we do have these problems lately, and I think it's a good point that Karen brought up, because I think I'm a little exhausted with the changes that people make on the fly that don't comply. So if we can make that a condition on number 4, I mean, do we need the as-built survey when it's completely done? Or can we start it with the foundation to make sure that we don't get too far down the road? Because then it puts us in a very difficult spot when it happens later on. Do we make people remove it? Nobody wants to do that, but we do have to make sure that the things are complied with too.
Right, and 4, these are 2 separate surveys that are done in at 2 different times of building. Okay, so what's typical, we have a foundation location form that the surveyor is required to fill out, stamp it with his survey, with his stamp and sign it, that the house or the foundation that's being laid meets what was on the plan.
Okay.
And that's done post
Did we-
foundation, but before they frame.
Okay, did we have that done on the other projects that we had this issue with?
I'm sorry?
Did we have that certification on the other projects that we had the issues on?
On single families, we have, yes.
Well, then how did we get to be where we were on that?
On which one?
On the PDD that we had the issue with the house that was built? How did we get that far if we had a certification?
That I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know that.
So I mean, did we not have the certification, or the certification is not fail-safe?
No, the certification works. That's how we discovered it. I think
Nope. That was on an as-built,
afterwards, yes,
right?
yes.
Right, so how do we make sure that number 4 is accurate?
They won't be able to proceed with any framing on the house until that's submitted and verified.
Okay, you're missing my point, though.
Okay.
If this has been the process, how did we get down the road last time with the mistakes that were made if the certifications happened and were accurate? Because it wasn't caught until the house was built in an as-built.
Right. That was a mistake on staff's part. They should have, when they issued the permits for the construction, they should have followed along with that. I'll be honest with you, and they didn't. So
No, I'm not looking to blame anybody. I'm just trying to see if that certification process works. And if the certification process works and it was a mistake on staff, okay, then the certification process works.
Yeah.
But that's what I think Karen was talking about. And I think what I need to know is that, does that certification work if there's no survey data to back it up?
the certification process, I don't know, maybe I am missing the point, but the way I understand it, from what you're asking, certification process is a survey. The surveyor does go out, locates through his survey practices, locates the corners and the foundation.
And that comes in the form of a survey showing
That's a survey
that's certified.
in a form, both.
So, Greg, this is Karen again. I think I'm a couple pages back from where you guys are. My question is, what we have here from the applicant is a photocopy of a catalog. And when asked about the house plan, we've already heard, oh, wait, it's going to be different. My question is, if they've submitted what we have in front of us today, but they're already saying this isn't what we're doing, how do we know what they're doing? I mean, I see what I have from the applicant, and this is what I'm looking at, and I want to make sure that the information I have matches what I'm voting for or not. And I've already heard that this is not exactly what they're planning to do, that it will fit inside the envelope, but it's going to be different than the knowledge that I have today. So before we even put a shovel in the ground and they're doing a survey on did they put it in the right location, my question is, the drawings I have today, are they what the applicant is intending? Or is the applicant intending something very similar but slightly different, but we don't know what it is because we haven't actually received what that is? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so how do we get around that? Tim, do you have something to say? Tim?
I just have a quick recommendation, I guess. So for number 4, when we say a foundation location certification, I'm not really sure what that means. Maybe it should be an as-built for the foundation, or specifically say in there that it's going to be surveyed. So that we have someone certifying or guaranteeing that this is in the right location. However, if we don't have house plans, I really don't understand how we can make a judgment on this until we see plans.
When the applicant comes in for his building permit and applies, the plans that he submits have to match what we've approved here, or what the commission will looks at on the site plan. So that foundation and that house design that he submits for a building permit, okay, needs to match what's on here. So what the commission is reviewing is the location of the foundation, that it meets all the setbacks for one thing. Also meets the elevations of that foundation as well, and all the grading and mitigation of any potential impacts of the code. But as far as the site plan goes, which indicates location of the foundation, when they come in for the building permit, that plan, whether it's what was submitted here in the package or another building plan, has to still match that foundation location, the design of that foundation, because that's what's tied to this site plan.
But didn't you just say the foundation?
Go ahead, Karen.
Didn't
Go
you
ahead.
just say the foundation is going to be 3 feet different from what we're seeing today?
Jim, is that a question for you?
No, what my point was that this is the catalog plan, and then they're able to modify the plan. Let's say they want a bigger walk-in closet, so they may take space from the master bathroom on the second floor in order to make a bigger closet. But all that, they can tweak those plans as they order them from the plan company, and I'm sure the staff has seen that before, where they want to move a wall, to get an extra foot to fit, I don't know, a bigger kitchen in, or a bigger refrigerator in, or things like that. But within the parameters of this footprint, and you can see that, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's not a lot of dimensions on this plan. They're giving overall dimensions. They're saying it's overall 33 by 20, but there are some dimensions that are missing. But the overall footprint will stay like this. And as staff has said, and maybe the commission's a little confused about what that foundation certification is. I know what it is because I've been doing them for years, and staff knows. I mean, it's a physical survey. Once they pour the foundation walls, and the walls you've got concrete standing, I go out there and physically do a survey of that and locate that, and I provide a certified plan to the town, to the planning department, that says this is where the actual, this is where the actual foundation has been poured. And if it doesn't meet the zoning setbacks, or there's an issue with it, they will not issue a permit for the person to do their framing. So it's a physical survey that I have to certify and provide to the town, saying that this is where the foundation is located before they can proceed with any other work. Now, I don't know what happened in the past. Maybe it, like Mark had said, maybe it slipped through the cracks, but that's what a foundation certification is. It's provided by me, certified by me, that this is where it is on the property, and it shows the setbacks to the property lines so the town can verify that it's in the correct location. And otherwise they can't get their next permit. They won't get any inspections. They can't move forward from there.
So this foundation on this drawing is the foundation you intend to pour?
Yeah, as far as I know, this is the house they plan to build. That is correct. Yep.
Okay. I think that's where we just need to, like, to Greg's point, if this is the foundation design that they're presenting to us, that we just need to verify that that's what actually ends up on site.
Okay, so I mean, I kind of like Tim's idea that with the foundation location certification, I'm not sure what that is either, but I'd like to have the word survey in there. I mean, if you're gonna have an as-built at the end, what's the difference with having an as-built for the foundation beforehand? It's not gonna be any extra work. You have to do it later anyway. I mean, is there an issue with that, Jim?
Oh, no, like I say, that's just the form that the town of Waterford uses, or the form that they have. They've got a form that says a foundation location certification. But, I mean, if you want to use the words, an actual as-built survey of the foundation prepared by a licensed surveyor, you can add all that language in there. It's the same process for me, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take the first sentence of number 5 and make it the first sentence of number 4 as well, except for instead of issuance of a certificate of zoning compliance, issuance of building permits for the framing.
Yes.
There's some things we've learned over the years, and we've made, after the fact, like Karen said, we've said, oh, we should have looked at this a little differently. We're going to do that differently next time. We're going to look at this. There's some projects in town where we've been faced with some site issues that we really didn't foresee, didn't like when it happened. So we're trying to make sure we tighten everything up a little bit, but making sure that it works for the applicants too, but make sure that it works for the town and that we have some consistency. So if this is something that you think you could do, I think we would rather have that replaced, number 4 replaced.
Yeah, that's fine. That's no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So Tim, can you amend your motion?
Yes, I'll go right through it again, probably. It's probably gonna be our best. To approve with conditions, site plan CAM application PL 25-4, located at 163 Oswegatchie Road, with conditions 1 through 5, and to find that the project is approved with conditions is consistent with all applicable coastal policies and includes all reasonable measures to mitigate adverse impacts. Condition 4 is changed to include the word or the wording as-built survey to verify foundation location prior to building permit being issued.
The framing, right? Okay. And that's per the staff report dated today, April 8th, 2005, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Doris. Any other discussion on that? On this issue? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor of motion made by Tim and seconded by Doris to approve application number 25-PL-25-4. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and all 5 in favor, none opposed. Thank you, Jim, for
Yeah, no, thank you.
and working with us on that.
Yep, thank you. Have a good night.
Take care. Okay, next matter is PL-25-5, request of Gregory and Mary Lou Gennady, owner and applicant for site plan review and approval for a new single-family home on property located at 30 Bartlett Road, R40 zone, in accordance with 3.4 of the zoning regulations, and as shown on plans entitled Septic System Design Plan, prepared for Gregory J. Gennady and Mary Lou Gennady, number 30 South Bartlett Road, Waterford, Connecticut. Action required by 5/29/25. So we have the applicant, and we have what shows on the screen as Rick, but I don't know who that is, and then the builder.
Right,
Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay.
Rick Deschamps, yep.
Okay. So who wants to start?
I'll start. So my name's Greg Gennady. I'm proposing a single family residence on 30 South Bartlett Road. It's also a pre-existing non-conforming rear lot. It's considered a rear lot because it's on a right-of-way road owned by the town of Waterford, but not a maintained road. It's being proposed with a condition to the condition is a restricted deed covenant needs to be filed with the land records. And it's a R40 zoned, as you mentioned. We have a site plan. I believe you have those. And it has the required setbacks. Everything is pretty much conforming to the rear lot standards. I also have already I have plans that I've purchased that are 100% being stuck to. And it's a 32 by 40 footprint. And there are no wetlands or anything that would be considered wetlands or any drain issues there. We passed all the perk tests with the Ledge Light Health District. The only thing I'm looking for today is for you to vote on it, and hopefully we can move forward.
Okay, do you have anyone else on your team there wants to say anything? Do you want to wait for questions?
I guess we'll wait for questions. You know, I'm an amateur, so I'm,
Okay.
you know, representing myself. I'm not a builder. I'm not a professional in any way, but I think we have a pretty tight case. We've gone over it for like the past several months. We've gone back and forth a lot with the gentleman from the zoning, the Waterford zoning people. So I'm hoping that we can have some good questions and a little feedback, and we're good to go.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission have any questions before we turn it over to Mark? No? Okay, Mark?
Oh, I think he's muted.
You're on mute.
Okay. Yeah, what you have in front of you is a rear lot development for single family. It's pretty rare in town that you see this. However, it is a requirement in our regulations that whenever you develop a rear lot, and a rear lot is defined as a lot that either doesn't have any frontage on a town road, doesn't have access, does have access to a town road, but doesn't have frontage on it. There's a certain section of our regulations that dictates and establishes standards for developing a rear lot for residential. This lot does fall under the criteria of a rear lot. There's a town, not a right of way, but it is town property. It's a driveway, essentially, that starts at the end of the paved portion of South Bartlett Road, which that portion is a town accepted road, but it stops being town accepted, and then turns into a driveway that runs in front of this parcel. And that driveway is used to access the town water tower at the end of the road. So there are certain standards for developing a rear lot. They need to meet some minimum requirements. Again, similar to Oswegatchie Road, the parcel is pre-existing non-conforming lot in terms of area. And so that's covered by, as I mentioned in my staff report, section 24.3. It allows you to develop a single family development on a rear lot. It meets all other criteria for rear lot development, except at this point, as as Mr. Gennady had mentioned, there needs to be a restrictive covenant filed on the land records. That restrictive covenant, which is a requirement in our zoning regulations, is what absolves the town from having to provide garbage service, plowing, school bus, other services to the lots that are on this portion of town property. That I believe we had forwarded you an email from the town attorney that described that he had reviewed this application, and that the drafting of the restrictive covenant, which is actually a condition of approval on this in my staff report, that restrictive covenant be reviewed by or the language be reviewed by town attorney prior to endorsing the plans and filing them on the land records. So if the commission has any other questions, then certainly ask.
So who pays for that restrictive covenant?
In
Um,
what way, who pays for the filing or the development of?
For the drafting of it?
I do.
Oh, you're paying for it?
Yeah, and it's been submitted, so.
Oh, okay.
So the town attorney will review it
Mhm.
and then
Approved.
probably make some revisions and edits to it, but
Mhm.
it is paid for by the applicant.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Any other questions on this?
I just had a quick question. We received an email, in reference to this covenant, and that was a positive finding from the town attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, that he's reviewed the application, finds it in order. He agrees with the staff report, and that he will be reviewing the restrictive covenant language. That'll be signed by the property owner and recorded on the land records. And that's done prior to record on the land records, either prior to it at the same time that the site plan gets filed on the land records as well.
Thank you, Mark.
Any other questions for anyone? Okay. Let's somebody make a motion. Tim, you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
You're the motion guy. What do you think?
To approve with modifications and conditions, the site plan for the single-family rear lot development application PL 25-5, located as 30 South Bartlett Road, with modifications and conditions 1 through 3, and to adopt the findings 1 through 4 of the staff report.
And the staff report's dated April 8th, 2025, correct?
Correct. I apologize. I missed that again.
That's okay. Just want to make sure we reference it right. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Great. Any discussion on this? No, okay. It's a very nice looking house from the artist representation. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice, very nice looking. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All, any opposed?
Aye.
No. 5-0. Thank you. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item is number 5, administrative review. We have anything?
We don't.
Nope. Any correspondence for item number 6?
No correspondence.
Item number 7, commission business review of past months and ongoing projects. Nope.
Nope.
B, upcoming projects. I'll be getting to everybody with a schedule, hopefully for the POCD. Probably starting in early, late April, early May to try to get through a draft that's been circulated by staff and the consultant, Jim Butler. I'm just looking at it, trying to plan a meeting schedule. So I'll get back to everybody on that, see what dates work for everyone. We also decided to try to cut the meetings out for the summer. So we're going to try to have a meeting on the first meeting every month. And try to put everything into that rather than have the 2 meetings during the summer. So hopefully that'll free everybody's schedule up a little bit. If for some reason we need one, then we have it. But for most purposes, we're probably going to delete that second meeting. Any questions from anybody on anything before we adjourn?
One more thing, we have Southwest School is in for review. And we're in preliminary review with them. So that's the Project Learn project, and they've submitted site plans to us. It's being circulated through the staff for preliminary review, and that should be coming in the next couple months for site plan going through the commissions and boards. So you will be seeing that. And we also would be on the lookout for a revised 118 Boston Post Road site plan. That's the gas station. And they have there was some issues with their parking, and they are coming back with a plan for a site plan modification.
That's the one next to all these for everybody's reference.
Yes.
I have a
Yeah.
quick
Also,
question.
was long.
I'm sorry, Tim, did you say something?
I have a quick question in reference to Mago Point. I noticed there's excavation down there. I believe maybe for the parking lot.
That's correct.
And then,
Would you like me to explain? I can certainly take some time to explain that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Sure. So the state and the town have been working together to partner on the construction of a parking lot at 368, 372 Mago Point. Actually, let me get the, give me one quick second. 365, 371 Mago Point Way, which is the corner of 2nd Street and Mago Point Way, all the way at the end of Mago Point, right near Fat Tunas. And we've been working, the town attorney and I have been working with the state DEP Boating and Recreations Division for the past year to come up with a plan for the new parking lot, which will have boating and car spaces. And it will also have parking available to the public once after hours for local businesses. The town has split the funding with, not split evenly, but there is a split between the town and the state for the construction of the project. The town originally appropriated $400,000 back in 2023, and we've been working ever since to try and get the project started. I believe this project has been kicking around since about 2018. And we finally got a contract signed. It was a lot of work because the state normally doesn't do, the funding mechanism is such that they will, you build it and then they reimburse you. We've managed to work it such that the state has put the funding in upfront, so that it's a collaborative effort. And so what you've seen now is they've been excavating the site. They pulled out about, I don't know how many, but they pulled out several large boulders, several truckloads of large boulders, because mostly Mago Point is mostly fill. So there was an old, I believe there was an old hotel there at one point. So that was some infrastructure for that was pulled out. There was a storage tank that was pulled and cleaned up by the state DEP. So the end of it will, we're looking at a June 1st completion date, substantial completion date. There are some long lead times on the electrical meter, and some of the light poles have a longer lead time. So those will be finished later on in 2026. But the parking lot will be open and operational for boaters and for the public to use in, we're aiming for June 1st. So that's the construction that's going on down in Magle Point. There'll be a sign going up, one of those state signs, the big white ones with the blue seal on it, that'll be going up. I have the sign person working on that today. We should be getting that up soon.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions or issues or? No? Okay, so at this point, the meeting on the 22nd is off. And our next meeting will be May 13th.
May 13th.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's it. Okay,
You need a motion to adjourn?
someone have a motion?
I'll make a
I'll
motion
motion
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn.
All right, we'll let Doris take down. Doris made motion to adjourn. Tim, did you second it?
Second.
Tim seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed? See, it wasn't too bad, Mike, right? Easy.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult sometimes. Yeah.
Lot of good info.
Great,
Good start.
great. Everyone have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.